here as a team to play for a spot in the EU LCS.
Everyone is predicting that Gambit will trio us, but I definitely don't think that's the case. I think we will win.
You're going to be pretty disappointed if you lose.
It's all or nothing for me.
Relegation for me is a disappointment.
Team Coast gonna make their way to the North American Spring Promotion Tournament.
We're really excited, but we're just a little nervous.
It's about our life, it's our future.
This opportunity means everything. If we win, then we get back into LCS, and that's pretty cool.
We want to show the world that we shouldn't be even in relegations.
Welcome to Day 2 of the 2015 Spring Promotion Tournament. We're coming to you live from our Los Angeles studio home with 2 more matchups that will shape the face of the European and North American LCS. Hello everyone, I'm James Dash Patterson, and hanging up their mouse to join us on the analyst desk today are Diggs jungler Crumbs and Curse's jungler I Will Dominate. Guys, it's great to have you with me on the desk today.
Glad to be here, Dash.
All right, we're going to have a good time. Already this week, we've seen Copenhagen Wolves and CLG successfully retain their spots in their respective league championship series. Guys, what were your impressions of that slugfest between CLG and Curse Academy yesterday?
Well, once the 2-0 happened in the favor of Curse Academy, I thought that perhaps Curse Academy would be able to take it. But looking at the first 2 games and the way they progressed, it felt like CLG was definitely underperforming in those first 2 series. It wasn't that Curse Academy was just a better team. It felt like CLG was really struggling to find their right foothold in the game and how to draft and how to basically carry out their team comp. And as the game progressed, they managed to do that and make the comeback.
Dominate, thoughts?
Yeah, I definitely think that Curse Academy was going to win the series after Game 2, especially after that Baron throw. If you looked at the CLG face cams, they looked completely devastated. Like their hands were up in the air, like their heads were in their hands. Like it was really ugly. But Game 3 they came out. I think after Doublelift got that quadra kill, they were kind of revitalized, and they ended up taking it home after that.
Definitely an emotional roller coaster for that team, but they pulled it out. That series also provided a bundle of key moments that you deemed worthy of our hashtag LCS Big Plays. Now, first up, we have some fancy ball work. At CraigBrown22 tweets, Keen the God, 3-man shockwave to clean up and secure Baron. Let's take a look at your number 3.
He's going to go down. That's going to be a 1-for-1 in the bottom lane. But Curse Academy, the 3-man shockwave, immediately deleting CLG. That was incredible.
That culling out of Impactful just got it all started, and then the shockwave. That is just beautiful, melting 3 people.
I mean, that was a classic old-school dig Baron throw, and Keen managed to just punish it beautifully, and from then on, that game was over.
Yeah, it was a pretty fabulous shockwave. And then from Game 2 of the series, Double orders up the quad. At KNK Gaming writes, Doublelift's positioning did everything in that fight. He couldn't be focused down and got a quadra. Let's roll that double.
Bunnyfoof actually managed to land, but the 2-man shockwave coming out of Blink, that's what they need. Doublelift gets first blood. There's the ultimate from Keen, but that's a double kill. Doublelift is jumping all around this fight. Is he going to be able to pick up more? The flash, the triple kill. Is Chris going to go down? No, yes, the quadra kill.
Yeah, and I think that's the play that changed the series. Up until that point, Curse Academy had been winning every single dragon fight, and Doublelift came in there, and he was able to jump to the side and position himself where he was able to output damage and also clean up kills without getting killed. And I really like the way that he positioned himself with his jumps, jumping sideways, and being able to finish off everyone, getting the quad. I think that changed the series.
It happened early in the game, too, so you definitely, that's a huge surge of momentum, as you said, when it happens that early in the game. And then, of course, from game number 1, Bunny Fufu showing why his Thresh is feared. At I'm a Zombie says, Bunny Fufu, the Thresh God. Lantern for vision, Flay to interrupt, Hook ahead of the flash. Take a bow, Bunny. Here's your number 1.
2,000 gold is almost released. Doublelift now in a lot of trouble.
What a play was incredible. Manages to catch him out of the flash as well. Bunny Fufu is a god. That was utterly stunning.
He lanterns the brush for vision. That's the first great bit. The play, and then the predicted flash that comes out of the death sentence. Oh my god.
Goodness.
I mean, he executed every aspect of his kit perfectly in that play right there. Now, as somebody who's played against him, somebody who's played with him, is there a place in the LCS for Bunny Fufu?
I think so. I mean, I have not seen somebody in the LCS currently pull the Mad Life. I don't even remember the split at all. So if Bunny Fufu can do that, I think he's got a spot here.
Yeah, he definitely deserves to be in the LCS. Bunny's an absolute beast. I think the thing that got me about that play is the flay out of the Tristana jump while he was getting buster shotted backwards. Like, that's insane to be able to flay him out of the jump. And then the Mad Life hook is just expected from Bunny. Like, after playing with him, I'm not even that impressed with that. I'm like, yeah, he Mad Lifed him. Like, that's just Bunny Fufu. So
that's really sad when that's the expected play out of you. You're like, oh my God, I got to measure up to this all the time. All right, well, keep sharing those hashtag LCS big plays over on Twitter and address them to us here at LOL Esports. Coming up today, we've got 2 best-of-5 series on the docket. Up first is Gambit versus SK Prime with a spot on the European LCS on the line. After that, Evil Geniuses and Team Coast will fight to see who will be playing in the upcoming North American LCS split. If you want to brush up on these teams or get a schedule for the week's matches, check out lolesports.com. You can also vote for the teams that you think will be victorious. Hit schedule and start locking in your picks. And then head over to Twitter and share your thoughts on our question of the day. We want to know which Challenger Series player could have the biggest impact in either the EU or NALCS and why. Send those tweets to @LOLEsports and use the hashtag LCS so we can share a few of our favorites later in the show. Now, we're going to send it right over to the guys at the caster desk to get us into these games.
Thank you very much, Dash. What is up, everybody? I'm David Freak Turley with me for our first best-of-5 series. Can't seem to shake him. Aiden, Zyrene, Moon up here holding down the duo lane in the desk. Now, of course, we're going to set up for our first showdown of the day, Gambit Gaming versus SK Gaming Prime. Now, Gambit was one of the preeminent teams in Europe. They played at the World Championship for the last 2 years, top 4 in 2012, top 8 last year, but now they've been falling. They're fighting to hold on to their spot in the LCS itself.
Yeah, they're definitely a team that has been in decline and fighting to stop the complete collapse. They've made a series of changes to the lineup, picking up players from the Challenger Series and replacing 3 of their 5 members. And of the 2 remaining Gambit veterans, even they were replaced for a short period of time with stints not on the roster. But they are a former shell of themselves. They started the season 5-8 and then went on an 11-game slump, just 2 short of the longest losing streak in LCS history.
Yeah, but they're facing off against SK Gaming Prime, a team that's actually on the rise. Since the addition of their jungler Kickus to the roster, the team has actually been on an upswing.
Yeah, and to illustrate what a transformation SK Prime went through in the first Summer Challenger Series, SK Prime went out pretty quick after going 0-2 against H2K. But then after Kickus joined the team, they went 7-2, won the second Summer Series, and they took second in the playoffs. And as the season went on, the team continued to show improvement. They are much more controlled and objective-focused, and they have shown that they can beat up on former LCS players.
Yeah, this team has been improving a whole bunch, but there's actually a lot riding on this series. Both teams have done their homework, and both SK Prime and Gambit believe they found weaknesses in their opponents that could be actually used as tickets into the LCS.
From what I've seen about SK Prime, they're like a great team from Challenger Series. I think they're like most dangerous guy from their team is their top lane, MTG.
I think Gambit is a lot weaker than they used to be. Their bottom lane is the weakest point of them since they are new, like Crystalline joined the team. I feel very confident. We're gonna go early game oriented and force ourselves to like come ahead and not let them set the pace of the game. And we really want Diamond to sit around mid so that doesn't go out of hand.
The only threat is Diamond Prox. I think it's the best jungler in the EU at the moment. It's gonna be really tough because mid lane is about jungle mid synergy.
I think it's actually good that we are where we are because it is some of wake-up call that the scene is now where it was in season 2 and 3. Everyone got up and Gambit needs to catch them as well.
I'm going to see how the new lineup works for these guys here. Both these teams have had interesting stories with rosters. We'll see how that plays out during the game. But we're going to check out the starting lineups here. On the blue side, Gambit Gaming, Kuban up at the top lane, Diamond in the jungle, Nick in mid, Krislin to AD carry, and Edward on support.
And on the red side, it's SK Prime. Smitty at top, Kickus in jungle, Wata Fox in mid, Z's at AD carry, and Zaitan at support.
And in today's featured matchup, we'll be braving the dangers of the jungle to watch Diamond versus Kickus. It's a battle of the old guard versus the new.
Diamond is one of the veteran players on Gambit. He probably doesn't need a lot of explaining, but he's been bringing a lot of experience playing this in these kinds of high-pressure situations, been to Worlds multiple times. And as the senior member, Diamond has really become the glue that is keeping the team together. And while Kikis, on the other hand, is the newest member of SK Gaming Prime, he's been a transformative figure and has to be given credit for the team's new controlled playstyle. It's really funny to look at these dynamics here because we have one team that's been replacing people. Diamond was off the roster for a couple of games, and then this Edward was out like a season ago, and they keep swapping people in and out. And then SK Gaming Prime are like, swap one person, and the entire roster style changes. So I remember an interview with them after they ended up winning the second summer series. It was like, we were a solo queue team, and as soon as we brought Kikis in, he brought in the shot calling that made us very team-oriented, and that's how they got to where they are today. So it's really funny to see swap people out looking desperately for something, and swap one person, and it all comes together.
It's true, and we've got to see how Gambit does now with their new bot lane. The interesting thing is they've actually become an English-speaking team now instead of a Russian-speaking one, now that they've only got 2 Russian players left on the roster now, which it's kind of an interesting dynamic, and it changes up. Diamond, I know, is not the strongest English speaker, whereas Edward sort of is. I wonder if that actually even quiets their jungler somewhat.
And we heard in that feature there that it's all about that mid lane and jungle synergy. And this is actually going to be very big in this matchup coming in here because Kikis and WantTheFox have been having a very controlled style, whereas Diamond has been very aggressive. Nick has 75% kill participation, the highest on his team. So they look to get Nick ahead in their victories, and that's usually off the back of Diamond, who has 71% right behind that, the 2 highest participants.
And we're going to see what kinds of performance those guys can put up here. First pick, Ryze comes in, most likely for Kuban there in the top lane. Lee Sin removed from Kikis. The Nami goes away from Zaytan, and the Nidalee banned from Smitty J. Meanwhile, Alistair, Yasuo, and Kha'Zix removed from Gambit Gaming. So Diamond does lose one of his carry junglers. And now SK Prime to make their first 2 choices.
Yeah, and since it's back into the whole Kha'Zix meta, Diamond, he's definitely loving that champion, so banning that out is extremely smart. And something that we also saw in that video was Kristlin was saying we're going to play early game oriented. SKP is probably one of the best early game challenger teams. Z's almost exclusively plays just carries that are going to be bullying you in the early game. Then they first pick a Ryze for themselves. That seems like a scaling team comp here. What if they mind gamed us in the video?
I know. Who knows on this one, though. Gambit definitely thinking they made the right choice here in the top lane, or might have just been that Kristlin thought they would play an aggressive bot lane down here. The interesting thing, though, is the early pick Fizz. We normally see him as more of a counter pick here, but only 1 assassin off the table in Yasuo. And SK Prime already wants Fizz there.
Yeah, the thing is that Zed is also available. Ziggs is also available for Nick. Ziggs is one of the champions that he had the most success with in carrying the games when he was on Gambit Gaming in the LCS. We'll have to see if they can make it back there today. Diamond hovering over the Elise. This is a champion that will definitely set him up for the early game and set him up for the ganks, but I do want to talk about this Fizz a little bit more because WantTheFox is typically, and SK Gaming Prime as a whole, typically like to counterpick matchups, and that's why they like to dominate the lanes and how they get their advantages. WantTheFox is the guy who's, I'm going to play Akali into Yasuo every time. Smitty J is the guy who's going to play Riven. This is a team that really, really values counterpicks, but instead, they're going to pick up that Fizz very early on, and it's going to be into a Zed.
Wow, all right. Fizz for Zed opted in here.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so interesting things about this is, of course, you can Playful Trickster of the Death Mark and ignore the application of the Death Mark in the first place. Blocks a lot of damage there. So that'll be fun to watch for in the first place, but the fact that Nick wants to go into it is interesting, for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of the matchup that I think WantTheFox wanted from the get-go there. And here's the thing, too, is Z's, he's known for just playing Lucian, Ezreal, Corki. He was the one-trick pony Lucian player. When Lucian was disabled for a bit, he was going on Ezreal and he wasn't very effective. He picked up Corki, and now during the offseason, he's picked up Tristana and Kog'Maw, but he still isn't as effective as on those champions.
Right, just to give you the stats on that one, his last 20 games in the Challenger Series, exactly 1 game has been played on not Lucian, Corki, or Ezreal, and that was a Tristana game, his most recent one. So 5% of his games have been Tristana. That's basically doubled to 9.9-ish.
It's the second time we'll ever see him on Tristana in his entire summer split.
Well, Gambit have picked their own roles down the line. Ryze, Elise, Zed, Lucian, and Braum now down there for the bottom lane. Kristlin and Edward. The first time we are seeing these two together, and they've picked an incredibly strong duo lane.
And here's the thing, too, is Edward has always been playing with a very passive AD carry. He played with Genja. He also played with Kopp for a bit. You know, when you hear those two guys, you think passivity. Kristlin is a very aggressive player. He was known for his Lucian every time we saw him in the Challenger Series back when he was on Reason Gaming with Trashy. They were just a very aggressive forward momentum team. I think ended up getting 4th place in the Challenger Series. So he's been picked up here, joining the roster in place of Genja today. And hopefully, he's going to be able to complement the aggression of Edward.
I just want to point out, that's not mid lane Fizz.
Nope. That is a jungle Fizz by Kikis.
So I didn't see that one coming.
Nope. I don't think anybody saw that coming. Kikis is the kind of guy who loves to do 2-on-2 skirmishes and counter people. Not counter jungle them, but counter their ganks. He has great game knowledge, but the Fizz jungle, I mean, we've seen him play Gragas jungle, but that's a fantastic, just what the fox moment right there.
So Kikis is going to be kicking it into high gear here with Fizz. It could, I want to wait for the last few seconds because it could be Jungle Mundo top Fizz.
Yeah.
20 seconds is the lockout time for making your swaps. That is not the case here.
Nope.
So, yeah, we saw Airwalks bring out Jungle Gragas to great effect yesterday on the Copenhagen Wolves. Now we're seeing Kikis pull out Jungle Fizz. We know Europe tends to be the first region to kind of pick up new things and be like, guys, this is really good. Then everyone else realizes it afterwards, so Jungle Fizz solo queue, get ready. As the series gets underway, let's check out the vote over on lolesports.com. And right now, Gambit Gaming are leading with 63%.
Yeah, but we want to remind everyone to send us your picks over on Twitter with hashtag GMBwin or SKPwin. We're going to keep updating the poll throughout the games to see how you guys at home are calling the series. Freak and I are going to actually call the series today.
Yeah, it's true. You guys can try, but no matter how loud you tweet, you will not be picking up over the microphones. They might show up at the bottom of the screen, though, so I mean, I guess you can be part of the show, actually.
Yeah.
Ha!
If your tweet is good enough, send them in.
That's true.
We'll be judging all day.
And then we'll be kind of tri-casting because you guys will be part of the show.
Yeah, and actually, that is actually kind of true because we feed off of that.
Ha!
Yeah, Crepo got a little bit of tri-casting in the other day with his tweet.
Exactly, and the analyst desk afterwards can also be fun. Of course, the LCS big plays, also part of the show. So here we go, guys. Gambit Gaming looking to make their way back into the season. A new AD carry now in Chrisland. Hoping this will be the roster that sends them upward toward greatness.
Yeah, hoping he's the aggression in that bot lane because they pretty much ignore their top lane. Kuban is one of the lowest kill participations in the EU LCS. I think he's about number 4 lowest. But most top laners are up there. The big thing is that Nick has 75% kill participation on his team. Higher than his support, higher than his jungler. He's looking for the solo kills. Diamond sets him up, then he roams bottom. It's the typical MO for how they execute their victories. Granted, the victories have been pretty scarce.
Yeah, but we'll see here. Gambit Gaming right now just playing the battle lines, whereas SK Prime are all grouped up right in front of the red buff. What will this invade look like? Diamond can easily send a Spiderling over. He'll spot SKP by doing this, and he is not getting seen for a hook. He says, hey, all of SKP are right there on that brush.
Sees all their items.
True.
The jig is up.
Yeah, the cool thing about that is even if you can't immediately count which guys you see, you press tab and you say, whose items have we seen? And you know how many people are there. If you didn't know, pro tip.
Look at that. They actually got a whole bunch of wards across on the right side into SKP's jungle.
Yeah.
So they know which buff he's going to start on. They're going to have vision of that blue for just a little bit longer. But they're also... Ooh, this ward over here.
Yeah. It'll see their invade. There's 20 seconds left right now on that ward. You can each chunk's 20 seconds, so you can kind of time that.
Diamond's not even starting on that side, though. So they're going to get a lot of information here for Gambit Gaming, and SKP are going to go for a risky invade. That'll most likely result in either a blue swap and a lane swap here, actually.
Exactly. It's the kind of standard lane swap invade path where you pressure, the enemy buff on the side of the map you control. It's a very easy buff to contest. You have 4 people there. It's very low risk. And they just have the Orianna hold mid, so that's going to be safe there. Gambit Gaming will grab the blue buff on the eastern side of the map now next with Diamond and Kuban. That'll be fine.
And at the same time, Kuban immediately started walking past the mid lane. He got to the red buff a little early, hit stop, because he didn't want to get experience from it. So Diamond ended up getting that for himself. So he's the level 2 coming out here.
Definitely the right choice. You can share the smaller pieces, just as long as you get solo XP on the big one. You're generally going to be fine. See what else they do here. Nick versus Wat the Fox in the mid lane. Early push from the Orianna. Not too surprising, though. Has missed 2 CS in the wave, but that's not a big deal. And we also have both duo lanes staying as a 2-man group, which we don't see that often, actually.
So I want to do a little theory crafting here. There's going to be a 3-minute dragon coming out after the double buffs to Diamond. They have to jump back and forth between it, and SKP haven't really responded at all. They're still doing their red buff, and they cleared a raid camp before going to it. But the theory crafting I wanted to do here as this dragon is being juggled back and forth is the jungle Fizz. His clear is decent because he maxes E first, but at the same time, he's more of a dueler.
Yeah.
You want to dodge skill shots. He can also get over walls. So if you go for an invade and it gets a little botched, you're safe.
True.
Also at the same time, he has multiple gap closers. We'll have to see what ends up happening here. And the fact that they also lane swap means that it's going to be a little delayed before his first gank.
One thing, though, I think that does help is that they did lane swap. I don't think Fizz's early clears are that good. I could be wrong, right?
No, it's
Maybe
not
it's
good.
better than I expected. But the fact that he has a Dr. Mundo running around helping him, and yet Kikis got all the XP, he's level 3 while Smitty's level 1, means that Kikis is going to start being able to kick into a little bit faster gear. Not on purpose, that one. And
I like a way to call them now. Oh, that one wasn't purposeful. But yeah, the fact that the Fizz isn't going to get invaded, Diamond's not going to be pressuring him for a while. Kikis is going to be pretty safe right now. Ooh, for the time being. Kuban hanging off on the wings. Diamond's actually going to wrap around as well. So it'll be a 4-on-1. But if Kikis shows up, it's a 4-on-2. And this ward right here is going to reveal them.
All right,
Smitty's going to have to book it.
Has to flash from Edward's Q, and Kikis has to be pretty afraid. Kuban could rune prison this one off of flash, doesn't choose to. And out he goes. So Smitty loses the flash, and he loses the minions under the turret. Good move by Gambit.
Yep, Diamond with the pressure. What Diamond loves to do is he loves to either gank mid or go find the enemy jungler. And right there, he actually made a play for the bot lane, which is something we haven't typically seen here. But there's all this pressure that they have from Kristalin shoving this wave up against the Mundo. Granted, SKP, they do have the Tristana getting the free farm right now.
Yeah, and what's interesting is SKP are playing a pretty different style from many other teams with lane swaps. They're going for aggressive turret pressure. I guess both teams are, but they're leaving the support into the duo lane. They're pushing the lanes down as opposed to freezing. Kuban is only level 2 though, all that said, but both outer turrets in top and bottom are pretty close to dying.
Yeah, what you'll end up seeing usually is that the support will go roam. Zaitan is staying up there trying to get turret damage off and sharing his relic shield. Which means that he's not causing pressure around the lanes. This is basically an isolated mid lane here in this matchup.
Right.
And Nick did start with the Doran shield here so that he could survive this matchup as well.
He's doing okay. He's down 4 CS. He uses potion, but not the end of the world there.
Yeah, only being down 4 CS is pretty good against an Orianna.
Not the easiest of matchups. So What the Fox just kind of going as slowly as he can in this lane. Diamond was waiting in the wings, but realized that there was no further pressure coming in. So What the Fox playing safely enough to not get ganked, despite limited ward coverage.
Wow. So Kikis is, I think he's going for Elder Lizard.
Huh, interesting. Lizard Fizz. So
Lizard Fizz?
I think
Lizard.
I think it might be sort of Evelyn-esque, where you kind of build some early AD just for the auto attacks, but you build maybe tanky afterwards. That seems strange to me, but
tanky Fizz?
I don't know. Like, I mean, right? He's going Lizard Elder in the first place. You would expect AP if he's going to burst people.
What's funny is somebody's going to be like, "This is a standard Fizz build."
Yeah.
Like, oh god.
I remember when. Oh, hold on. Edward taking some damage. All right, so he's actually duoing with Kuban. They're trying to keep Kuban afloat now by Gambit's lane choice. But SKP still want this turret to go down, and I think with the level lead, they'll still get this as long as Diamond doesn't interfere.
And the thing is, these junglers haven't had much pressure on the map. Diamond did make a call to go for that dragon, so that's what's keeping Gambit in that 700 gold lead. But overall, still no action in this lane swap here. And both teams playing it pretty well, too. Nobody's really given up too much here.
Yeah,
Just this turret damage.
You think Edward just postures to kind of make Z's respect the Q, and he immediately has to turn back, hit Edward instead of the turret, and so it buys some time.
This does seem like a time bomb up top, though. There is a timeline on this where they will eventually get this turret. They're poking them down. Something needs to happen up here, or else eventually SKP will just take this turret.
Might be soon. They're trying one more time. Looks like they're...
The roam.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
they're going.
This is really well timed. They can kill them under the turret when it dies.
They're going for the blue buff, trying to pass it off. Actually, the smite here for Kikis.
Just wanted to make sure they got it, I think.
Ah. And there is actually going to be no wraparound on this either.
Huh, I'm actually surprised by that. I think What the Fox being level 6, and especially with Playful Trickster for turret aggro swapping, they definitely could have died.
Here's the thing, too, is Edward just took a stroll towards that blue buff as well.
And he's like, all right, we're going to clear that out.
Yep.
They realized they got taken. That's all fine and good. But the point I was trying to get to about Fizz, when we very first saw the champion get released, I remember Saint Vicious was jungling it, and it was like a wit's end sort of tanky bruiser build. And that's what he was trying out before people realized how good Lichbane Fizz was mid. So, I mean, the very original jungle Fizz was like Bruiser Fizz.
The original jungle Fizz.
For what it's, I mean, years ago, right?
I don't know if there was ever an original jungle Fizz. That just sounds odd.
I mean, hey, original jungle Lulu. That's how you know.
Anyway, I want to see if he goes with the Elder Fizzard build here, and then what he builds after that, because this is extremely interesting to me, because the theory crafting behind it is he has gap closers, he has a slow, he has ways to avoid damage, and is very good 2-on-2 skirmish champion. And if he builds some AD, his skirmish is actually even better, because his auto attacks will be more potent. There we go.
Well, I think also this build is really fitting facing against Gambit, because this is a team that used to build Death Cap on Renekton, and Fizz is a mage champion. He's a lizard wizard.
The lizard fizzard. The wizard fizzard? Oh god.
Lizard wizard.
The lizard
Fine.
fizzard wizard.
No, we're done. You've gone too far.
Has science gone too far?
Gosh. By the way, not maxing E, he's maxing W.
Yeah,
first.
he is. He's going for the auto attack.
It is about the bruiser auto attack focus. It's not the burst at all. It's an entirely different build. It makes his clear still fairly slow. You're seeing how long it takes him to clear these camps down, but he will be an auto attack uptime focused jungler. 40 CS so far is staying above Diamond, and it actually is out leveling Diamond as well. So I can't talk too much smack on his jungle clears, because so far he's out scaling the Elise.
I want to know what his runes and masteries are.
I think he had attack speed marks.
Yeah, I'm looking at that because he's got 0.91. So I think he's running some attack speed.
It could be Marks and Quince. Or like AD Marks AS Quince.
Regardless, I want to see how this ends up performing in skirmishes. Because they might just go straight to team fights here, because this next dragon is being contested. He's backed, both AD carries, sitting on BF swords.
Alright, well. Hut! Almost waited a little long there. Kick us though, red buff. Flash Shark! Oh, what a nice repel. Gets away from What the Fox. TP comes in. There's a good stun. There's a death mark there as well. More fight coming in there. This could be risky for Nick. He predicts the jump back with the shockwave. First blood comes into red buff. Kickus. Fizz going in hard. Has to walk away from Kuban. That kill will go to Smitty J, and Kickus just on the retreat. 2-for-1 SK Prime. And look at that.
What just happened? Fizz!
Fizz happened, man.
Fizz.
The dragon is up.
That guy means business. He's going straight for this dragon now. The rest of the team from Gambit Gaming off on the side. It is a 3-on-4. Smitty doing some zone control.
That's fine. He's just taking damage. Doesn't care too much. Dragon goes over to jungle Fizz from Kickus. And SK Prime are up 2,000 gold over Gambit Gaming.
That paid off hugely there. The very aggressive play by Kickus. He forced that more than you could possibly think of forcing that. The flash, the Q, and the shark. Diamond, he did a good job of getting away from that, but then the death mark came in. Nick, here's the thing, he threw it back to where the shadow was and got the shockwave off. It cost his life, but he takes out Nick on that Zed, and then Smitty J showing up perfectly. Meanwhile, the AD carries. Chrisland completely zoned out by Zaitan. Not able to contribute to that fight. And then the dragon falling into SKP's hands, exactly what they wanted. So now they have a 1,400 gold advantage now because they have that top turret. And now they lane swap it back. Diamond sitting down bottom, waiting for a play. Is this going to be it?
Zaitan knocked him into the air. He's going to get stunned up as well. Diamond does not hit the cocoon, but it's going to be enough anyway. Diamond gets the kill. Gambit back to 2-2, but they are still down 1,000.
They might be able to pressure this bottom lane. Kickus is on the top side of the jungle right now. If they clear this out, they'll get some turret damage for themselves, but they need to return a turret to equalize the gold at this point in the game.
Well, we're going to see bot lane is under fire. Chrisland's got plenty of attack damage for himself. He's done well so far. Up 20 CS over what Z's has. This turret can be falling very quickly there.
Look at that zone. They're just getting him completely out.
It's very smart.
And that's going to give time for Kickus to show up. Diamond just used all of his abilities.
Now Z's wants in. He's going to jump
forward.
Hard. Shark hits him as well. That is now an in the air Braum. Exhaust goes on towards Kickus. Lantern comes out. Zaitan going to dodge away from the Q, and looks like no more fights here. Ulti for Exhaust.
I just see this Fizz, and I'm just like, don't try this at home, kids.
No, hey, it's working.
The AD Fizz, 115 AD. Looks like he's going to go for, might be Sheen next.
Yeah, seems to be the build. Interesting. Iceborne Gauntlet, maybe, or is it really just... Heck, it could be Trinity Force, because he's not really investing in ability power. Kickus has 28 AP, so he does have... I'm guessing that's AP Quince, then. attack speed marks. He has CDR per level blues, by the way. His CDR is going up with level. Very interesting mix. I'm going to try to get more information for that one so you guys can emulate this awesome Fizz play, because so far so good. But yeah, there is ability power on that kit. And now maxing E second, so max W, max E. And yeah, he just kind of plays aggressively. It's like every Shark he goes in and tries to force a kill. The ulti's almost back up, 3/4 back from cooldown.
That Shark has been on cooldown. Every time it's up, he will throw it out. And now they're going to contest this blue. Wattfuck doesn't have Shockwave just yet.
Lever misses from Spinny J. Diamond going to come in here and do actually take a lot of damage from Spinny, but there goes Wattfuck's taking damage in from the Zed. This could be enough with the Death Bark. Does not quite take him down, but Smitty solos Diamond to the top side. And out goes Orianna. Blue buff now controlled by SK Prime.
Wattfuck will have his Shockwave back up shortly. He used his exhaust on Nick because Nick used Deathmark. So there's a lot of things that haven't been used yet, but also things that have. And they're just going to smite it and walk away from this. Another victory there at the blue buff for SKP.
Look at that. Bottom turret's going to be going down. Chrisland will share the experience. Edward on the wrong side of the map. Dodges the hook, though. Good job there. Slows down Zaitan. He's going to peace out.
Chrisland, he's going to get that bottom turret. He's immediately going to clear this wave out with the culling and push it to that next turret. Try to deny some experience. Try to pull some pressure that has been all over the map from SKP at this point.
Looking at that kill, though, puts the gold back within 700 here. So good stuff for Chrisland. So far, making a decent difference there. Highest CS in the game. Only turret kill in the game, or sorry, for his team. That's worked so far for Gambit.
I still want to talk more about this Fizz, and I want to talk about Kikis in general. Because Kikis is the guy that came on the team, completely changed the roster, but he's by no means an orthodox jungler. He was playing J4 forever when nobody else was playing it. Like that, you know, he's always been a standard pick, but Kikis' style on top of all of that is very skirmish-based. Can I win the 2-on-2? He isn't the most active jungler in terms of like he's going to force things. He's the take Trashy and do the opposite of what Trashy does, but still have ganks happen. Kikis is basically Trashy's worst nightmare. Trashy will force something, he will flash in, he will go after you. Kikis is always sitting there saying, I know the enemy jungler is going to be here. And then he counters it. And so far, he's putting pressure on Diamond. He's taking his buffs, he's getting his team rallied up because he is the shot caller of this SKP squad that ended up not being on the radar, picking up one guy, and then changing themselves completely around. And Gambit, Raspy and Strauss changing so much. Can Chrisland step up this game? He does have a 20 CS advantage over Z's, but he hasn't been able to push that early game Lucian just yet. He does have his IE power spike, but they haven't grouped up and pushed it at all before Tristana has hers.
Yeah, this has got to be a bit of a risk here for SK Prime. 45 seconds still till Dragon comes up, but can they even get their items in? 150 gold until, or sorry, 220 gold roughly until Z's can complete his eye edge. So that's not the easiest mark to hit in 30 seconds, plus the recall, plus getting back there. And I don't know if that's going to be something that Gambit even tries to push then. But Spirit Visage and a Giant Spell are done for Spinny J. He's actually not going to be easily killed by this Lucian of Chrisland. So maybe he could just buy time and make it work regardless. Diamond looking to set this one up. Gambit now much bigger on the Twitter vote.
Yeah, 81% in favor. A lot of fans, a lot of faith in Gambit. Despite being a tiny bit down, it's been a back and forth. This next Dragon will decide who takes this lead. I just realized that Diamond, the innovator, is being innovated on right now.
That's true. It's happening right now. And look at this, SK Prime are going to be there for Dragon. They started it up already. No pink wards for them, almost at all. They're not really removing vision, but they're at least seeing the entrances of Gambit. Edward on the top side, there's the culling in as well. Good damage from Kuban, hits every single bullet. Knockup gonna catch Zaitan, the box comes down, fight has begun. In comes Kikis, looks for Edward with the Shark on, doesn't go down, Shockwave only gets one as well. Edward does go down, Wattfuck jumped on by Nick, he will trade his life, but it's a 2-for-1 so far. SK Prime are ahead, 2-for-2, but they found Nick. He flashed away, can he get out though? Looks like yes, they will trade lives. Nick actually still up there, Zaitan, one auto attack gets it, but Kuban to clean up that fight. It's going to be a 4-for-4 here. One more spell, and now the top laner saying, hey, what's up? And goodbye.
Yep. Ships passing in the night. Gentlemen's salute. Walk by each other. 4-on-4 there. The TP came in. A lot of abilities just hitting one person here, and a lot of it was blown on supports. They just go back and forth. There's the Shark hitting a support. There's the Shockwave hitting a support. And then this fight in the bottom lane just just goes back and forth. They trade 80 carries. Diamond completely chases him out. And then the top laner, Smitty J, makes it his mission to go track down Diamond and kill him. And off on the side here, it's like, we have to protect Nick. And then one support still standing after all the abilities thrown at him. Really, that fight was just a lot of ultimates being blown on one person. And it was the support. I think 3 ultimates only hit one person. Yeah, it was the support there total.
But Smitty J again was massive. Spike battle. Oh, goes to Kikis. Diamond misses that one. In comes the Shockwave. Gets onto 2. The Shark as well. They've got the kills. But one's been traded back by Krislin. Can he do much more? 2 for 1 so far. Going well for SK Prime. There's the distance. They're going to look for Diamond. He's going to land the Q. Does not hit the cleaver, but Diamond's got nowhere to go. Repels up. Goes back to What the Fox. Not going to be enough for him. 3 for 1 plus Dragon SK Prime.
Good shockwave there by What the Fox to pick up 2 members. They get the Dragon for themselves. There was no smite even from Diamond. He didn't get it off. It was just Kikis smiting, and it got picked up by an auto attack there. They're going to go straight for this bottom turret too. And now Gambit, they're going to have to get themselves together because they're falling behind against an Orianna, a Tristana, a Mundo, and I hate to say it, but it's a Jungle Fizz too. And it is going to be Trinity Force.
Boom. Got him. Nick. All right, he's got a blue buff for himself. He's done fairly well individually. Krislin, he's trying to scale up. I mean, he's got the Zeal now down as well. I'm just trying to watch the new member to see how he's going.
Yeah, Diamond doesn't end up getting his smite off here. But here's the thing, is they are so focused on this right side that What the Fox comes in, gets a 2-man shockwave after this whole ordeal over the Dragon that Diamond doesn't even get anything out of it, except he picks up the support. They chase him out. There's so many gap closers here on such a low cooldown for Kikis that he's able to chase down almost any member on Gambit Gaming.
And it's working so well for him as well. Like, this is going nicely for SK Prime, and even Z's, who's down in CS, is actually now ahead in items over Krislin there, has the extra Avarice Blade on himself. So everyone's kind of starting to outscale the opposition. There's a Zhonya's Hourglass now done as well for What the Fox, so I don't know what Gambit has left in store to make this work outside of hoping Ryze carries.
And Nick is going to have to blow people up, but What the Fox is getting to that point where he's got the Zhonya's Hourglass.
Yep.
Kikis can go ahead and just Playful Trickster it. There's so many things here that are going to be very annoying for Nick on the Zed pick. And it's not even into what we thought it was with just the Fizz mid.
Well, the question is, though, can he win duels? Anytime we see a Zed, it does come down to split pushing and doing what he can for this. Now, the difficult thing is that Smitty J is ahead, but does not have a ton of armor just yet. Maybe that can work for him. Zed can fight Mundo. Mid lane turret's going to go down. SK Prime still pushing the lead here. 4,000 gold up. And we're seeing them with a pretty good teamfight composition, realistically. Mundo's been doing great, 3-0 and 4. The Shockwaves have been on point. Sharks have been on point. Gambit for retreat. Diamond, wow, heavily isolated, and he's not quite in range of that Wolf. That's bad for him. His flash is on cooldown. He is going to drop. Z's gets the kill. Hook's not quite going to land, but SKP can now push in for the mid-tier 2.
Diamond out of position. Again, the team just not completely with him, and this is part of the issue you get when you keep swapping members around. Not everybody's going to be on the same page, and he's completely caught out there.
Diamond has half the team's deaths, though. Like, he's really not having a good time this game. And this is the original best jungler in Europe, like, undisputed. And just like the rest of Gambit, it's been getting worse for these guys over the last couple of years. Mid-tier top 2-2 goes down. Knock up on a Kuban. They go for this one. Uh-oh. Kikis immediately drops those shots on the 3. Can they win the fight anyway? Edward will go down. 1 for 1 so far. Nick on the retreat. What the Fox pops the Zhonya's to stay alive. And this is Z's just killing everybody. Runs away. And finally, Smitty goes down, though. Couple kills picked up back. 3 for 3. Now in for Z's. 1 hit. Krislin, can he get it? Nice dissonance, though. And in comes What the Fox. Finds the kill. Now Diamond overextends, does not get the kill. That is the ace for SK Prime.
Z's gets 4 kills there on Tristana. He is 8-1-3. He's getting ready to carry this game for his team. They got themselves a turret, and they won the team fight off the back of it with great positioning back and forth. Kikis, he gets obliterated here, but SKP, they just don't give a damn. They're honey badgering this. Look at this. Right there, 3-man shockwave to set them up. Nick ends up going back to his shadow, gets exhausted. What the Fox baited him back to it. And now Z's is standing there just being a turret while Smitty J, the Mundo, is being focused down, and they are at the same point. Krislin tries to close this distance, but oh my god, just the back and forth there from SKP with their target prioritization, making Gambit Gaming test their shot calling, and you talked about it. Here's the thing. They're speaking English now.
Yeah.
Is that a problem when you have to keep swapping targets all the time? I mean, you call it the champion name, that's fine. But when you have to do more finer things in the game with your shot calling, in the midst of a team fight, that gets very cluttered very quickly.
And Diamond is just not having a good game so far. 2, 6, and 5 on Elise. 24 minutes into the game, SK Prime now, they're up 8K in this one. The jungle Fizz 1, 2, and 7. Lizard Elder Triforce the build so far, so it's kind of like AD Fizz with some ability power quints. It's an interesting build. I want to know more about it. I want to talk to him after about it as well.
Well, I want to hear the two junglers on the desk talk about Jungle Fizz, see what Crumb and Dominate have to say about that one eventually.
What have they ever played around with that one before?
Oh,
what's going on with that one?
I'm actually really interested to see if they have played around with that before, because I've never done that before as a jungler.
Nope.
Also, another thing about that pick is they picked it so early, right? We were sitting here going, they just picked their mid laner for What the Fox.
Yeah.
That could have been a masterful bait.
It was. I mean, that was the goal. That was definitely the goal. Like there's no reason you do that early except to like try to mess with your opponent and say, oh, here's this matchup you're going to play, right? Even though like Fizz is good against Zed from our knowledge in this one, but either way, took it off the table, actually made it a jungler there. All kinds of interesting in this one. And the rest of the team has just kind of picked up around it. Smitty J the entire time has done great. Right, he is 3, 1, and 9 there. His one death was in that sort of last team fight a second ago. But he like single-handedly won the prior Dragon fight. Like he was the reason that SKP went 4 for 4 and then came back and has controlled it one more time. So Smitty, I think, a very big force in this game, even though we're not seeing him often. He's been big when he shows up. And then it's just a setup for this Tristana to get cleanup kills. Like 8, 1, and 3 is just because he's there in the fights.
Another person I actually want to talk about is What the Fox. We haven't talked about him too much because it was just a mid lane one-on-one for a long time because the lane swaps. He's 3, 2, and 11. Highest kill participation on his team. 14 out of the 16 kills he's been involved in. Highest CS in the game at the same time as Orianna. He shows up to these fights. His shockwaves have been a little game-changing. The ones where he doesn't hit a support only, and he hits 3 people, 2 people, completely changes the flow of the fight, especially when, at the start, your jungler gets picked off. So a lot of credit to him. I think What the Fox is one of the best European Challenger Series mid laners out there. He gets a ton of respect. Remember when he took down Alex, people were like, whoa, this guy means business, and his Syndra is something that always has to be banned out and thought about in Champs League.
It's true. He actually is an incredible player, and it's fun watching the upstart players. I mean, we saw this with Gambit's roster itself. Like, it's a bunch of Challenger players who we had seen in the Challenger Series and said, okay, their team didn't make it, but the players were good, and they get picked up on an LCS team. Well, SKP could be an LCS team themselves, of course. But yeah, you're absolutely right. We're having a lot of great standout performances by really good individual contributors.
Yeah, another thing about What the Fox, he's played 8 different champions in 10 games. Thing is, you usually have to pay tribute to his Syndra and ban it out. But at the same time, he has so much in his arsenal. He's a deadly mid laner. You have to think about what strategy do I not want to play against, and then you still give him a comfort champion.
Exactly. He's got a very large bet. He's comfortable almost no matter where he goes.
Yeah, and I think also another thing about him is when you play against that, you really think, man, this guy is such a linchpin on the team, and then the team thinks, we have this guy with such a deep champion pool, we can dictate picks and bans around him and what team comp we want, because he can play everything.
Look at that, an immediate dragon pick up there. SK Prime just kind of assume map control at this point. It wasn't even contested. We saw Gambit clear a ward off of Baron, but just give it away.
Well, Gambit focused all their wards on the left side of the map, on the Baron side of the map, where SKP are still prioritizing that dragon control.
And they're getting a bigger gold lead because of it. They're now within about 9,000. This number keeps growing over time. SKP are very far ahead. Most of the Bloodthirster is now done as well for Z's. He's just massive.
When he hits that 3-item spike, he doesn't really have to buy the last Whisper anytime soon because there isn't any threat of armor on the side of Gambit Gaming just yet.
Yeah, it's actually really convenient. I think he would still go for this build even if he was building armor.
You would go for 3rd item Bloodthirster, but look at this. Kickus.
No, but I mean, yeah, it's more to the point that, yeah, there's no one to tank the damage.
Yeah.
Z's just got a bunch of items out of nowhere, or even more items just recently from the kills, and no one is prepared to deal with this. Kuban can't carry because he's going to die so darn fast. You got a Spectre's Cowl for his tank item, which means you're still going to get crushed by this Tristana. More ward control. SKP just setting up Baron. They have missed 1 ward, though, near that pit.
Oh, and there's Gambit going for the inside track for that turret.
thing is, they can't stay
rush?
in that though. They get killed too easily. Smitty flashes in. They go for What the Fox. A lot of damage on the Orianna. He's going to have to pop the Zonius. Barely in time, but the kill still goes on towards Z's. Nick made that happen. What the Fox forced out, and Diamond's on the chase. They picked up one back with Fuse, but Diamond trades back on the mid laner. Kika still trying to do what he can. Smitty as well. Flashes in. Can they pick up this one onto Diamond? So far, 2 for 2. Double kill for the Fizz, and they go right for Baron.
They ended up killing the jungler, so there's no smite available, but Gambit have complete knowledge that this is happening right now. And here's the thing, this DPS is actually pretty decent on this Baron. They don't have their Tristana or their main damage dealer in mid lane, but they still have Viz with percent HP missing damage, and they have this Mundo for persistent damage. It's not going to get chunked down, but it's still on its way.
Well, they are trying, and in comes Edward hooked in. Shark comes out as well. They try to kite back that Baron help, and they do. Kikis gets his 3rd kill. Smitty now in the front.
Oh, Kikis
will go down, but they trade one back. Zaitan now hooks up Nick, but it's going to be the kill picked up for Nick. That is a 2 for 2 battle, and now can the Zed outplay? Looks like not. Burning Agony takes the last kill. 5 for 4 overall SKP.
They do stop the Baron though, and I don't know if they're going to start it back up. Instead, Z's going to go straight for this red buff. It's the much smarter move here, and then establish dominance again. So SKP get a huge spike in gold there. Nick, he makes the right move here. He blows Z's up, completely focuses him down 100 to 0 very quickly. Flashes actually. Oh, okay. So he flashes when it looked like he got buster shotted.
No, he used his W.
Did he? He went straight back to it. Okay.
Yeah. Well,
No, he still has his flash available. He used his W at the same time he got buster shot, so he didn't go anywhere.
He went to a wall, which doesn't even stun you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just like hit him again. That was exactly perfect.
And still retained his flash for later on in the play.
Yeah, Z's the one who would flash to try to get away. He's like, okay, I need to flash like a buster shot you, and he's like, Shadow, get dunked. And
Yeah, I saw a flash go off. I was like,
Yeah,
I'm not
that was
crazy,
Z's.
right?
No.
And I looked down and he still had it.
Nick massively outplayed that fight. It was beautiful.
Able to blow up Z's. They need more like that to happen, or else SKP are going to start running away with the game here. They have Baron control. Gambit Gaming, it's very hard to face check this when you have 10,000 gold in favor of the enemy team. They do get themselves a Scrying Orb on Crystalline so that they can use that. He already used it just now. But still, SKP playing this right. They have a lead, they're looking for picks, and they're saying, if you don't face check this, we're going to get Baron. So they're using it as a tool to get more kills, and then eventually a Baron here.
SK Prime now up 9.3 thousand, 9.5, something like that. And the ward coverage, pretty good for these guys. You can see how the roots in. They don't quite darken out everything. There's that one ward making them sad. They know about it though, it was pinged. And the sweeper's going to come up in just 1 or 2 seconds now for the jungle and mid laner. SK Prime trying to bait. There's the sweep. All right, and they've built darkness once again on the Baron pit.
And he walks towards it, walks away. And he's Miss Cindy J standing on a ward, and they get it. It's ward clearing time, and they start it actually while still in vision.
Well, they are going to spot it out here, but can they kill it in time regardless?
It's
It goes
going down
down
so
incredibly fast. Baron for SK Prime, and now the
Kikis.
Shark catches Kuban. That is not good for the Rise top laner. In comes the Death Mark, though. Can they do enough for that one? Nick will fall, and Kikis stays alive anyway. And the shield definitely helping there from Zaitan, but now the chase. Diamond, half health. Cocoon's up on Z's, but they could chase down anyway. It's a 5v3 on the map with Baron buff.
Oh, Crystalline pulled him away.
Oh my god, he just trolled Diamond, but he's got a Banshee Veil. He's going to be okay. And in they go now. Smitty can easily face take this turret. This should be the inhibitor at least taken down.
Such a great play there by SKP to rush the Baron down and then rush down this mid lane after just getting a couple kills. And Smitty J is going to take this turret up again, bustling down the base of Gambit Gaming.
Down to 1/3 health. Rise respawns just now. Does not play home guard boots. And they go for inhibitor number 2. The Baron buff still on. Now Nick is back up. It's a 5-on-5. In goes Diamond. They ruin Prison Smitty J. The battle has begun. He's getting repeatedly slowed down. Z's now kind of in the front lines. Has to back up. And SKP are going to get out nice and clean. 2 kills, Baron, and 2 inhibitors picked up for SK Prime.
And SKP have everything going for them right now. 14,000 gold advantage. That blue buff still falling into their hands. And now Gambit Gaming. It's really hard to get back into this game. They need more picks onto Z's with Nick. And then Nick needs to get back into the fight. They need to get some armor on them. They have to avoid What the Fox's damage. It's so hard to do. They have so many grueling tasks to complete at the same time that juggling them is going to be nigh impossible.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they make their way in with right now. They're outskilled at every position. The split push from Nick just doesn't seem to be doing very much for them, and he does have the ability to target Z's here, but so far Trish has played far enough back to not really get picked off by Nick. Cocoon, though, is going to hit Zaitan. Suddenly that will be a pick, and Gambit can maybe use it to catch back in.
And Dragon is up. If they decide to try and make a play for it, they have the numbers advantage, but they don't have the gold advantage. Not even close. Their base is getting pressured too. They have to send people back to deal with this. 2 inhibitors down. It's going to be another Dragon for SKP.
And very quickly is going to be the case, and it's just waves being held, a little bit of gold trickling in for Gambit, but so much more when you pick up a Dragon there for SK Prime. Now, will this be the push? They've got Baron for a few more seconds, I believe. And this could be the 3rd inhibitor, and maybe the next is going down for SK Prime.
WattaFox is almost full build, almost max level here in this game. He's been farming so well for himself. Such high kill participation on that Orianna in mid lane.
There we go, turret goes down.
Shockwaves are going to hurt so much, regardless of who they hit. Even if it hits one person at this point, it's going to do its job.
Yeah, even on Kuban a lot. Everybody's a whole bunch of health. Edward goes to the ulti, he catches WattaFox, but they don't go in. That is an ulti lost for nothing here.
It is a 4-on-5 because they don't have Zaitan just yet, but it is the support. You're not going to be missing out on a lot of damage. Z's
once in, they stun, they go in for Aziz, who tries to kite away. Can he get away properly, though? Giant Deathmark pop. He does out-duel Diamond, though, and in goes the kill onto Kristen all the same. They pick up Nick as well. 3 kills. That's going to be 4 with Kuban. Only Kickus now chasing onto Edward. Double kill for the jungle. Fizz and Ace, and game 1's going to go to SK Prime.
Knocking down these Nexus turrets. WattaFox almost dropped there, but he still stays alive. Such a good controlled game by SKP.
All right, well, smiles, nods. SKP knows they're 1/3 of the way into joining the LCS. They went and fought through a very tough challenger season. Short run in Summer 1, a very long run into the finals in Summer 2. These guys looking much better over time. You said Kickus joined the roster, revitalized them. I agree. They look great. The Jungle Fizz looked even better. SKP, man.
Jungle Fizz.
Yep.
I don't even know what to say to that. I can't wait to hear what Dominate and Crumbs have to say about that one, because I don't know. I have exhausted everything I have to say about it. It's like Elder Lizard, Trinity Force. He got himself a Glacial Shroud.
Glacial and a Ruby Crystal. He's going to go for like Spectre's Cowl plus a Frozen Heart probably. So this like CDR tank build by the end. Yeah. Lizard Triforce is the damage core.
Shroud.
It's like a Vi build, basically.
That's crazy.
He's basically playing Vi Fizz. that's basically the build, is Vi Fizz.
Yeah, no, I guess so. Your ultimate knocks people up too? Boom.
Yep.
Practically the same champ.
Q is basically Vault Breaker. Of course.
Yeah, no, if you flash Q, fish somebody.
Your W is an auto attack enhancer with a passive that deals % health damage.
Anyway, it was...
yes.
Oh, okay, I guess after 3. Yeah, okay. You got me there. Anyway, doesn't matter. This Fizz actually came up really big. It's not one of those things that was kind of like a token on the team. The fact that they lane swapped it, he didn't have to worry about being pressured in his jungle. And even then, he's Fizz. He can just jump over walls and escape.
Right.
There's a lot of things here that actually made that Fizz pick really good because it was a flex as well during Champion Select.
It was.
And I really, really like that strategy. I think SKP have one of the best pick ban phases.
And they look so darn strong with it. I mean, they clearly had all the things panned out. I agree, actually. It's worth stating it was a flex pick. They could just go back. They last picked the Orianna to say, you know, if we want Fizz mid, that's perfectly fine. Complete within WattaFox's champion pool. Totally acceptable. They could have gone for an Evelyn later on or whatever they wanted to for the jungle pick. So that was smart. They played a smart game as well. First Dragon went over to Gambit Gaming because of SKP's lane swap. Very smart by Gambit to do that. You know, well-structured play. And SKP were still able to say, okay, well, we'll get our gold back. We'll fight for Dragon number 2. And to me, it was also Smitty J being really big there. He was carrying those first few fights despite being under-leveled from lane swap. So I thought that was really impressive.
Yeah, and I thought their team fighting was right on point. And also the fact that Z's, he was down in CS, but then they had that one fight that ended up snowballing him on that Tristana, that they just kept showing up to him, and he was the primary target from Nick. WattaFox was still huge, so they had multi-threat options to them, and a jungler that did a lot of damage too. So everybody required attention, and then Smitty was the soaker. Yeah. So I really liked how they ended up playing the team fights for themselves, just the back and forth, but then they just broke through and they ended up winning the game.
Yeah, that was huge. There were enough threats that even though sometimes the Trist would get picked off by Zed, you had WattaFox and everyone else doing good things. So good comp, good play, good everything by SKP. Going to hear more about that game, though. So for more on SK Prime's win, let's throw it over to the guys at the analyst desk.
Thank you, Freak. A very solid start there for SK. And I love the fact that they came out of the gates, threw a curveball with a very interesting champion select, picking up that Fizz early, but then ending up in the jungle.
Yeah, I love the Fizz jungle, and to be honest, we were discussing it a little earlier. I see it as sort of like a higher damage Elise, because Elise, late game, we all know, she's basically just a cocoon, while Fizz happens to have this massive AoE and a lot more damage that what Elise can bring, especially AoE, and he also has an invulnerability. Now, obviously a curveball picked early. We've seen multiple times Europe likes to pick Fizz early, so perhaps at least we thought that it was going to be a mid-Fizz pick. And it was AD high, like some sort of hybrid with the rune setup with W max Fizz that was able to just mow down Ryze and Zed with Mundo in the backlines, which was, it was really entertaining to watch.
Yeah, it was very interesting, especially then to see it built in kind of an AD fashion. Dominate. In solo queue, have you, like in NA, have you run into anything like this? The jungle Fizz built that way? Like
I've seen a jungle Fizz before, and like as soon as we saw jungle Fizz, Crumbs and I were discussing to each other. It's like, all right, so after he gets his Spectral Wraith, do you think he's gonna go for Lich Bane or is he gonna go Frozen Fist? Like, what's his build path? And then he just like surprised us. He maxed W. He went Elder Lizard into Triforce. I've never seen anything like that before. It's really interesting, and that's like the first thing I want to try when I get back in solo queue.
Yeah, definitely gonna have to pull that one out at some point. Well, let's now move into the game though, because SK actually played it very well. As Zyrene had said, they split up their damage threats pretty well. They had Tristana, they had Ori, and then they did have this damage threat from the jungle. So there wasn't necessarily one target that Gambit could pick out, and they chose to lane swap in order to allow that Fizz a bit of a double jungle to get through early without taking too much damage and things like that. So what do you guys feel about the level 1s? They had that nice invade, but they did get seen by a ward.
I think the SK went for a regular lane swap, but they did one crucial mistake, which was they did not protect the dragon, or at least you can go ahead, if you're lane swap, but you can afford a ward. Just place a ward and make sure you don't lose that early dragon, because if you give up that early dragon, and let's say Gambit would have played it a little bit better, and they would have snowballed, if the Zed gets ahead, there's no way. That team comp would not have been able to survive against a split pushing Zed that's far ahead. So they need to really make sure that they're not bleeding out the first dragon early. It's not a big deal, but you don't want to give any leads to a team comp that requires split pushing. But besides that, it was once Mundo got ahead, there's no coming back from them.
Yeah, they had that late game. Even with the Ryze on the other side, you got Mundo, Triss soaking up all that damage. It's going to be hard to come back from that. I do want to jump into the game. We're going to go 18 minutes and 30 seconds in around the dragon. This one goes in favor of SK. Dominate, I'm going to let you walk us through it. As soon as we pull it up on the boards here it is. If you don't mind, like this is, I feel like, the first time that we really saw SK kind of pull ahead, because they had traded a few fights prior to this.
Okay. So if we can roll the clip. So they start off on Dragon. They're kind of just tanking it. They're daring Gambit to come in. And from here, what I like is they all commit to a side. They see Lucian on one side, and they all run left, and they just try to Zerg that side. And I think that's really smart play when you get attacked from two sides. Something that I actually wish we did a little bit more of on my team. So really smart call, and they're able to just clean it up by just being decisive and choosing a side to go on.
So this, yeah, like you said, it points to decisive, clear calls from a challenger team, which is, you know, something that we generally are criticizing challenger teams for, right? Like, they're all great individually skilled players, but generally they lack in the areas of shot calling and team play where LCS teams excel. But SK, I mean, they're looking pretty sharp here. Is this an LCS team in the works right here?
We have to see more games, to be honest. Seeing just that game, again, you played a death ball comp. They had a perfect death ball comp with the Fizz being able to be more of a diver and high damage threat instead of what we normally see being like an Elise or a Nunu that just basically only protects. So I really like that, but we need to see what they can deal. You need to be able to win in the best of 5 if you're a LCS caliber team, of course. But again, that game, I think if Gambit would have gotten the early lead, they could have snowballed really far out of control. But NIQ did not seem that comfortable on Zed. Like, he just was. It didn't look like it was his really comfort pick, to be honest. At least not for now.
Crumbs, you spoke to the death ball aspect of the team, so we are going to pull up the second replay, which is only about 4 minutes later into the game, top lane. This is where we kind of see the Tristana get to that point of, like, there's no return. So I'll let you take this one away.
All right, so this is after they took the tier 2 mid. They saw a big wave top and went for it. Now, they just needed to back off here, and Fizz just goes in, commits suicide, and he basically done this himself. Now, he gets Zed ulted, which is a mistake by by Zed going for that because the Fizz is already dead. He used his E to get in. There's no getting out. And SK overcommits, but they're so far ahead that at this point it doesn't even matter. They managed to kill a couple, and now Gambit overcommits just like they did earlier. And once the Ori QW hits Lucian, they needed to just run away, but they keep chasing, and you're chasing into a team comp that wants you to chase them. Ori and Triss don't want to run into anybody. They want everybody to come to them. That's why they're really high damage threats that are not very, well, they're kind of mobile, but they just don't want to be the ones jumping into the fight. You want to create a situation where people jump you, and that's exactly what Gambit gave them, and they ended up getting ace for it.
At this point, Tristana's 8-1. We kind of see the game play out the way we expect it to. So Dominate, best of 5 series. One team pulls out. We'll say a little bit of cheese here in the first game. What's Gambit saying now? Because how much do they have to respect that cheese and worry about the Fizz again, or how much are they actually pulling from that game, saying, "Hey, look, if we can get them into a standard comp, we've got them beat"?
I personally think that in that situation, I think you should ban out the Fizz. If it's something that's that out of left field and you don't really have an answer, I'd say just go ahead and ban it out. Unless you're super confident and you think you have like a legitimate counter, just go for a more standard game. I don't think there's another reason to give this guy an AD Fizz where he just pretty much like he was just really annoying in the game. It seemed like they didn't have an answer at any point, so I think that they should just ban it out. Go into the next game with just more standard junglers, maybe like put him on a Nunu, a Kha'Zix, or Rengar, just something that you're more familiar with.
Right, yeah, they got rid of the Lee Sin, Nami, and Nid in their ban, so that does mean, though, that they're going to have to sacrifice one of those in order to get rid of the Fizz. So I would have to say that that's a pretty well played first game there for SK in terms of mind games. And Crumbs, to that same effect, when you're in the best of 5s, how important are the mind games there?
Oh, it's huge, because you basically, after playing a little bit of the game, you kind of get a feel for what the other team prioritizes, because you kind of want to show the same strategy over and over and over in the best of 5 and just wait till the other guy counters. They'd be like, okay, we played this comp the first game, we're going to play it the second game, let's see if you can beat it again. And if they can't, then you just basically play the same thing 3 games in a row and you win. So I'm guessing SKP will try to do the same thing. They'll play a similar comp. Now, maybe Fizz gets banned. As Dominate pointed, he was really annoying. Like, I don't think he was like a huge reason why they won, but he just was in the faces of Gambit the entire time, and they did not seem like they knew how to do it. Like, for instance, that example where Zed ultied the Fizz that E'd into him, that was if Zed had saved his ultimate, overcommitting to chase a Triss and Ori would have been perfect. They probably would have won that fight really decisively, but they just did not look comfortable playing against that champion. So we could see that ban and put him on something more standard, but if they see Lee Sin as something that they should get rid of for SK Prime, then perhaps not. But I think they should have just gone for something for like a Lee Sin for Diamond. After all, it's one of his best champions, and Lee Sin can deal with any cheese jungler.
Yeah, a jungle Fizz pick is definitely one of those picks that requires a lot of your brain power when you're playing against it, because being unaware of its full potential requires you to give it more thought, which makes it harder to deal with in team fights, because you're like, I'm not sure what his damage output potential is, so I'm going to ult him just to get him off the playing field here. But if we go into the next game, right? Yesterday we saw a challenger team start out 2-0 and then not be able to come back. So when we talk about the difference between an LCS team and a challenger team, Gambit being one of those teams that has been around for a very long time, we have Edward and Diamond still on that team. How much is their mental fortitude, their stamina, their ability to play 5 games in a row and adapt gonna factor into being able to pull out a win? Dominate?
I definitely think that they'll be pretty calm with it. They've played best of 5s before. Like they were in the finals of LCS even a couple splits ago. So I think they'll be fine. I think they just need to get away from the cheese. They showed that Fizz was a super high priority. They first rotation the Fizz. Like after you see that, you know that they're probably prepared to play jungle and mid since they played a jungle that game. I think that you should just go with a more standard game and just see if they can beat you straight up.
All right, so we'll look to see if Gambit does make some of those changes. Look for a more standard game, as they clearly had a game plan going into that first game. We are going to take a quick break, though, while the teams reset for our second match between SK Prime and Gambit. The Spring Promotion Tournament resumes in just 3.5.
death mark there as well. More fight coming in there. This could be risky for Nick. He predicts the jump back with the shockwave. First blood comes into wrap up Kikis. Fizz going in hard. Has to walk away from Kuban. Ken comes into wrap up Kikis. Fizz going in hard. Has to walk away from Kuban. Can they win the fight anyway? Edward will go down. 1-for-1 so far. Nick on the retreat. Watch the Fox pops. The zone is to stay alive. And this is Z's just killing everybody. They are trying, and in comes Edward hooked in. Shark comes out as well. They try to kite back that Baron help, and they do. Kikis gets his third kill. Smitty down the front. Oh, Kikis will go down, but they trade one back, and in goes the kill onto Kristen all the same. They pick up Nick as well. 3 kills. That's going to be 4 with Kuban. Only Kikis now chasing onto Edward. Double kill for the jungle. Fizz